I hope so, because it's a new episode of Pwatree Review. Hello, how are you? This is the first one we're going to put on the YouTube under the new Pwatree. I think it's Pwatree Chit Chat or Pwatree Review. I'm not even sure anymore. But today we're going to be looking at something from the New York Times. They have a poetry section. Here's the New York Times. This is what it looks like nowadays. Like, top stories. There's usually something about corruption in the White House because this is 2017. But today we're going to be looking at the Pwatree section, which is back here in the Sunday magazine section. And the title of this essay is March. But, I wasn't sure if that was the title of the essay because I was thinking that maybe it was the month that they were publishing it because it is, in fact, March 31st. I think when you see this, it'll be April because I'm so busy I have to get out ahead of this. Hi, I'm your host, Dan Libman, and today we're going to be looking at March. See? A poem published in the New York Times, no less, which is published in this handsome edition. And it says, the key to this poem is its title. Now, I know you're thinking, I don't know the poem yet. Well, we know the title is March, and part of what's delightful about contemporary poetry is the hunt for meaning. So the title must be important because we see this, and then here it says, the key to this poem is in its title, we're told, which makes each element of the poem part of a faintly ominous definition of that month between winter and spring. That is right. Well, it's mostly actually spring. It's not really between winter and spring. It's partially winter, partially spring, but I guess it's kind of in the middle. And then it goes on, the introduction to this poem goes on, when things are not quite right. And you can see that the introduction, see it says that right there in quotes. And I am intrigued. The poem summons up the contradictions of March and overturns the familiar cliched representation of spring as a season of renewal. Is that cliche? Here, spring is as much a time for private regrets and his lurking obsession with the past. And then it says, in italics, so you know it's important, selected by Matthew ZAPRUDER! So we have the title, and we have the person who selected it so far. We don't have the author yet. Let's see. Then it says, sign up for our newsletter. Ooh. To get the best of the New York Times magazine delivered to your inbox every week. And I don't know if this is part of the best of the New York Times newsletter, but then it says, Matthew ZAPRUDER is the author of 4 Pwatree collections and Why Pwatree? Coming from Echo. That's an interesting question. Why? Why Pwatree? Coming from Eco. Is it Eco or Echo? It's got 2 C's. I think it's Italian, so I'm going to say Eco. He teaches poetry at St. Mary's College of California. That's an August university. Speaking of seasons and months, and is editor-at-large at Wave Books. Oh, hope they catch him. Laura Kashke is a poet and a novelist whose poetry collection, Space in Chains, won the National Book Critics Award. Where Now? New and selected poems will be published in July by Copper Canyon Press. And as you can see, that's pretty much all that's here. So we have the name of the author down here. We have the person who selected the poem twice. And then we have this wonderful description of what the poem is. And then we have a delightful illustration of 2 people looking at a glass. And, ever mindful of cliche, glass half full, glass half empty. But when it's a whimsical drawing, I don't think it's a cliche. Anyway, I touched a lot of things on this. Oh, now I'm lost again. I touched a lot of things, the newsletter. I couldn't find the poem. But I think maybe that's just part of the fun. You just read the description, and it sounds like a real good one. Well, that's it for Pwatree Chit Chat this week, or Pwatree Review, I'm not sure. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you like this, go ahead and subscribe. I'm going to put shit like this out there every couple of days, and I think you're going to be happy with it. I'm not going to try to sell you a t-shirt for at least a couple more episodes. So thank you, and do good work, and sit down, brew your cup of coffee, get your notebook, and scribble some ideas, because you never know who's in the market to buy Pwatree.